wanting to wake up can be part of what's bothering you because there's a built-in assumption that whatever we're looking for is not present already. And we're sort of leaning into the future and wanting something that we assume isn't happening now. And it creates a painful kind of situation. But if we strive and we're really dedicated, Ramana Maharshi said it's like using a stick to stir a fire, and eventually it just burns that stick down and, in a sense, dissolves it. It's like that. So our will, our personal drive, I had that. It was pretty extreme in my case. I worked really hard at it, and it was kind of extreme. The students that I worked with in the group that I was in, a lot of them didn't know what to do with it. I don't think they liked it too much because I was so gung-ho, so intense. But I'd rather someone be like that. That you can work with. But if someone is not giving it 100%, they're not really committed, they're not really working hard, it's kind of tepid. That doesn't really work. A lot of the teachers I've heard of, the awakened teachers, have a backstory of striving. I think Adyashanti was like that. Bankei was like that. I was like that. Either that, or if someone woke up spontaneously, they were suffering incredibly, like in extreme suffering. So extreme suffering can force you to notice the false self. That's what happened to Eckhart Tolle. He's had this moment of radical insight in the middle of suicidal despair. He says, I can no longer live with myself. He said, wait, are there two of me? There's the I and the I that I can't live with. And are there two of me, and I wonder if one of them isn't real? And he just noticed the false self down to the roots, and it just surrendered completely. Complete liberation in an instant for him. Byron Katie, similar. She was in a halfway house for women with eating disorders, because that's the only place that would accept her insurance, I think. And she was utterly miserable, and she made everyone else miserable because she was, by her own account, a rageaholic, extreme rage and depression, and she was hard to be around. That's my understanding. And yeah, a cockroach crawled across her foot, is her story, and she woke up in that instant, a cockroach crawling across her foot. Just woke up in that instant and realized that it was her thinking, her unquestioned thinking, that was making her suffer. And it all disappeared in an instant. I don't recommend that people just suffer like that. It is kind of like alcoholism, where an alcoholic, they hit bottom and they recover. Bottom is the worst suffering they could possibly tolerate without dying, and it changes them. It's like a near-death experience. I just recommend, as they say in the book 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, that we raise the bottom to meet you where you are. That your current level of suffering is intolerable. If you can become aware of the nature of suffering. So in a deliberate path, we're living a relatively normal life. Most people would think is a normal life, but we cannot tolerate it. I couldn't, because I saw it, the logic of it, and it was like cattle being led down a chute to a slaughterhouse. I wanted nothing to do with it. So that was my motivation. Just like the story of the Buddha, he saw sickness, aging, death, said, that's it. I got to figure this out. He was a prince. He had all the privilege in the world at the time. So anyone on a deliberate path typically has had the bottom raised to meet them in one way or another. My current level of suffering, just like suburban dread and ennui and paranoia and that kind of thing, depression, that we could sort of medicate and pretend everything's fine. I couldn't do that. I saw it all around me growing up. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be free. I wanted to wake up. But I wasn't suicidally depressive. I didn't hit bottom, as bottom is often conceived. When you hit bottom, it's just utter desperation, and in that desperation, sometimes miracles can happen. I don't recommend it because many people will just die. Alcoholism is considered a terminal illness. You either go insane or die or recover. And it's just a progressive downward spiral of suffering. So the ego is similar. And if we can notice what the ego is and how it works, our life may seem fairly normal. It won't be for long. When the ego is running your life, it becomes dysfunctional pretty quickly, and then we don't know what to do. What do I do? What do I do? First of all, even a story of, oh, well, you got yourself there, you made your bed, you have to lie in it. I can see the wisdom in something like that, but that's just something you're probably just going to shame yourself with. You're going to judge yourself. Oh, I did it again. I did it again. I'm bad. It's wrong. Something's wrong with me. Those are all judgments. There's nothing wrong with you. It's like if you lost an arm in an accident and you had to learn to function with one arm. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just different. The body's different. I've seen people that have had amputations that embrace that, and instead of throwing themselves a pity party, they just take action. They rehab. They get stronger. I had a biology teacher in 9th grade who had lost his right hand. He taught himself to write with his left hand, and he had excellent penmanship. He was kind of a hard ass, though. He didn't tolerate any shenanigans in his classroom. I liked him because he wouldn't mess around, and he didn't make a big fuss out of it. So whatever you've got, use it. There's nothing wrong with it. Just use what you have. Whatever your situation is, accept it as if you had chosen it. Just notice what's happening. The prayer helps. The I don't know what to do, please help. I've done that many times. It's a profound surrender of personal self-control. Like, I really don't know. You have to mean it. It helps if you do. Just let go. I mentioned in a recent video that I said it was like, if this is your suffering, this little object here, if that's your suffering, and ego tends to clench, it tends to cling and hold on. It thinks it knows. Like, I know what this is. It's like that contracted activity. And the only way to be free of the situation is like, yeah, I don't know. And it's an open hand. It's an open hand. It just says, I don't know. And that's when it can be removed. That's why the first step of Alcoholics Anonymous is to admit that you're powerless over alcohol. Now, I'm not an alcoholic. I have known alcoholics, and I've seen it up close, and it's truly sad and horrific. Saying you're powerless, it's like, if this is what's making you drink, you come to AA, and you're just kind of like that. Like, what do you got? And they're like, well, we want to take away your desire to drink. Oh, that'd be awesome. Okay, make it happen. Well, you have to surrender. You have to let go. That's admitting you don't know. Admitting you're powerless means the self that I came in here with doesn't know what the fuck it's doing. Clueless. And without a judgment. That sounds judgy, doesn't it? Just admit, I don't know. What I'm doing isn't working. In my current configuration of self, I truly don't know what to do. Please help. And in this case, the higher power could be the people of AA and the system, and that creates a field. If you're lucky, if it's a good group, it'll create a field of coherent energy in a way that can help you. Something about it makes it easier. Sometimes people say, well, I don't believe in God. Well, you don't have to. Just higher power. You call it GOD, group of drunks. Okay, group of drunks. These people seem okay. I know these people. They're doing better, looks like. So I'll try it. So you trust, you let go. You come to AA, I'm powerless. Show up. And just check your bullshit at the door. Just stop. Listen. Admit that what you're doing isn't working. How about that? It's just hard to admit that without judgment because there's pain underneath that. Some kind of trauma or conditioning or something from our childhood probably, where we felt less than and developed this thick armor to deal with it, and it made us numb and unhappy. And so we started drinking to deal with it, and we can't stop because we don't know what to do. So ego is similar. It's at the root of all those addictions, whatever the addictions might be. It could be like workaholism, losing yourself in your work, but it's compulsive and you can't stop. That's not healthy. Gambling. All those kinds of things. It sounds judgy. Someone watching this might think, oh, they're just people trying to get by. Yeah, I know. You have to describe what's actually happening. If a snake is biting you, you have to see that there's a snake biting you and remove the snake. And if you need antivenom and whatever, you have to admit the thing, just like an EMT would do. Oh, there's a snake lodged in your thigh. Let's remove that. It's poison. Here's some antivenom. Well, I don't know. That snake, my daddy gave me that. It's always something about the family, like a family tradition of long-suffering BS. It's toxic. It's interesting in the Bible, it says, honor thy father and mother. And Jesus says, I'm paraphrasing, but he who loves father and mother more than me is not worthy of me. He's basically saying, if you cling to the old ways of doing things that your parents gave you out of some kind of misplaced loyalty, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it because your parents didn't know what the hell they were doing. They didn't. They were imperfect. We're all imperfect. Admitting that is a form of love. Love is carried on a current of truth. We have to admit the truth about things. A doctor can't help you unless they're really clear about what's happening and that you let them do what they're going to do. You trust them, assuming they're trustworthy. And no judgment's required. Oh, you're bleeding out. Okay, let's stop that. We're not saying it's bad. It's just you're going to die if we don't stop the bleeding. And we prefer not to die, typically. We prefer not to suffer naturally. Naturally.